All right, anatomy. Here we go. Today is May 11th, Monday. This is one. This will be the start of our last system of the body. So far, we have covered all of them. So you are, or all but the reproductive system. Looking into it, it's going to be about a 2 week system breakdown. We'll first look at the male anatomy, we'll look at the female anatomy, and then we'll look at some physiology of it, mainly bodily changes. We'll go through pregnancy, we'll go through menstrual cycle, and then as far as once you are born, kind of some changes that your body will occur through that process as well. All right, so that's pretty much the outline for this unit, this chapter. Okay. Friday, your quiz is going to be on the anatomy, the male and the female anatomy. We will talk a little bit about sperm formation and egg formation, so you will need to know a little bit about those, but that's pretty much going to be covering it. Today is male anatomy, Wednesday, female anatomy, and then we'll pick up the menstrual cycle and pregnancy next week before you are quizzed on the physiology. You do have a lab that you are going to need to complete. Now, in order to do the lab, you need to pretty much Google microscope slides of the testes and of the ovaries. That's going to give you the best results for that. In order for you to complete it, then there's a questionnaire. You can print it out. You can even make a new document if you want, and then submit that document, whatever works easiest and best for you. Um, so moving on, male anatomy. Talking about the male anatomy, we're going to look over some structures, and then we'll pretty much some of their functions as well. The scrotum, this red box here is going to be what the structures are that we're actually looking for, so you don't have to move your eyes around the whole entire thing. Just look at this red box and then you should be able to see it. So here you have the scrotum. It's going to contain the testes, which hang outside of the body to regulate temperature. Okay, smooth muscle, it's going to be able to control raising it, lowering it. If it is hotter, it will it will lower them farther away from the body. And if it is colder, it will raise them up closer into the body as your internal temperature sits around 100 degrees. So that's what is going to be control the body temperature, is a smooth muscle. So still talking about the scrotum and what it consists of. You're looking at the testes. It's this purple structure here. Contains seminiferous tubules, which the sperm develops here. Your Edpuzzle. Yes, you have 3 Edpuzzles. You have male anatomy, female anatomy, and then the pregnancy. Kind of going over some of these things. It goes into a little bit more detail of some of these structures and the functions of these, but you can understand and see how and where and what structures these tubules are going to be make sperm. Okay. Interstitial cells surround the tubules and secrete testosterone, the male hormone. So you have cells that will secrete testosterone that are going to aid in male bodily changes. Spermatogenesis. That is going to be simply genesis being formation or creation, spermato being creation of the sperm or formation of sperm cells. Pretty much what's going to happen is it's going to go from the outside and move inward. So you're going to look, and that's going to be a little bit about what your lab's about, looking at the structures. There's these glands, right? So in the glands, you're going to have a lumen or an area that is hollow, and your sperm here is going to get germinated or made from the outside, or this layer here, and it works kind of similarly like that of skin, as you have a layer in which you're going to have rapid division and things like that, and that's going to get broken down, and you have spermatogonium. Okay, here you have still a haploid cell if you're looking at this. So these cells here, spermatogonium, say that 5 times fast, but spermatogonium, still a diploid cell here. Then it's going to go into a mitotic division and split into two. Okay, one is going to stay here, the other is going to go off. That's what this line here is. This line here is that cell stays there, so that way you still have spermatogonium in order to move along this process. Okay, then once you have your mitotic division, okay, you're going to go through here. Mitosis still produces diploid cells, so you're going to have two of these. All right. You have primary spermatocyte. That's going to be this next step here. So you're going from the outside, breaking off, going now here to your primary spermatocyte, which is a diploid cell. That's going to go through meiosis, and we know meiosis is going to create a haploid cell. Okay, meiosis 1. Remember, during meiosis, you're going to go through meiosis 2. All right, so eventually you end up getting four haploid gametes, okay, and the male gametes being sperm, okay, and they're actually don't necessarily form their head and their tails and everything automatically. They look more like this. That's why this here is an early spermatid. Okay, and then you're going to have kind of some differentiation. Your Edpuzzle does a pretty good job of understanding how the head is formed in the body, and then the tail of that. Or the mid piece, sorry, not the body, mid piece here. So the head, the mid piece, and then the tail, how that all is formed. So going into a little bit more about the spermatogonia, the germ cells here. Okay, the germ cells near the outer wall of the seminiferous tubules of the testes differentiate into stem cells called spermatogonia. Okay, so like I said, the germ cells near the outer wall, it's all moving from here and then down. So here is this what I'm talking about as far as the sperm head being formed. You kind of have this this formation here before it is released into the tubes. Then you have your primary spermatocyte, the follicle stimulating hormone during puberty causes production of this cell. Okay, so you have all of those cells for the most part, and then once you hit puberty, you're going to get your FSH, or follicle stimulating hormone, that is going to cause production of these cells, these primary spermatocytes, which are pretty much going to start spermatogenesis. Then you get spermatids, a gamete formed by the process, half the number of the chromosomes. That's important. Human beings, we reproduce through sexual reproduction, therefore we have half, females have the other half. Fertilization occurs, you get the complete set needed for to be a person. So look in here, you have your spermatogonium here on the outside edges of the wall. If you're looking, this is a cross section of a testicle. So you have these structures here, these tubules that are going to secrete or produce the sperm here. Okay, so on this layer, this is kind of the germ layer. So this is going to be kind of your stem cells, just like your skin, and it's going to go through high reproduction, and as it reproduces, it's pretty much pushing the others out. So here you can see that you have primary spermatocyte here, then it's going into a secondary spermatocyte here, then you have your spermatids, which are going to get its shape and structure, and then your spermatozoa are going to be out here by themselves. So mainly what we need to know, working from the outside in, this is empty space in here inside the tubules. So working from this membrane here and in towards that middle here. So spermatogonium being on the outside, primary, secondary, spermatids, and then spermatozoa being there. So this is the structure of a mature sperm. That's what this looks like. You got the tail, you got the mid piece, and then the head here. And when we talk about pregnancy and things like that, we'll use a little bit more understanding of what this structure or the acrosome is going to use. Pretty much it's going to burrow its way into the egg, dissolving things that protect the egg, and then once it reaches its destination, it will release the nucleus here, and it will be pretty much ready to fertilize. Here you have mitochondria. You have mitochondria here in order to help with energy, right? The sperm have to swim, so therefore it's going to require a lot of energy, and so that's where it's going to get its energy from. So that's pretty much what it is. The three pieces: the head, the mid piece, and the tail. Going through the ducts. Now the ducts are pretty much the pathway in which the sperm is going to be released from the testicles all the way out through the penis and into out of the penis. So you have first we'll talk about the epididymis. Okay, this is the maturation and storage of sperm. So once it's made, it's going to be stored there. It's going to mature there. It's going to get help with motility, some nutrients, so that way it can still survive. And it's going to be located up here above and behind the testicle there. After that, you have what is called the vas deferens. This is the tube in which, if you get a vasectomy, this is pretty much what they clip, and it makes sense because this is the tube that is going to carry the sperm. So therefore, you clip that, it's no longer going to be able to leave the body. So it carries the sperm from the epididymis to the urethra. So the vas deferens is what that tube is there. Then you have the urethra. We know that. We talked about that. That's going to be connected to the bladder. And then the bladder is going to, or you're going to have a connection here as well from, here's the bladder. Okay, so we go back to this. Here's the bladder here. You have the vas deferens here that's going to connect into the urethra, and therefore it goes out the same exact pathway as urine would go. And we'll talk about, as far as your Edpuzzle, we'll talk about some of the things that happen in order for you to prepare for that. Okay, so urethra, we know what that is. Let's go on. So now talking about the structure of the penis, there is composed of 3 columns of erectile tissue. For the most part, you have 2 different tissues here. You have these kind of air pockets, or these pockets here that when that will fill with blood, the penis will be erect and then ready to reproduce. So first being the corporo cavernosa. These are 2 dorsal columns, so these are going to be on the back, or the top here. And then you have the corpus spongiosum, which is the ventral column, also forms the glans penis, which is being there. Okay, and then you have the foreskin as well. So those are the structures that are going to make up the penis. And finally, you have some of these glands that I want to talk about. You have the seminal vesicles. This is going to add nutrients to the semen. So if you see here, you have the sperm that is going to be made here in the epididymis. That's going to go up the vas deferens. That's going to go pretty much around the bladder and then into the urethra. Well, in here you have a couple structures that it's going to pass. One is going to be the seminal vesicle. The seminal vesicle is going to add nutrients to the semen. And then another gland that I want to talk about is the prostate gland. Okay, the prostate gland is going to provide proper pH for the sperm. So it's going to control the acidity, things like that for the sperm. And then finally, the bulbourethral gland, or Cowper's gland, which is going to then lubricate the urethra, pretty much cleaning it out for any urine or anything like that, since it does travel through. And that's going to be this structure here at the back of it. So if we're looking over here, this structure right here that it's going to be. I can't really see it because it is there. Can't really see it on this one. They don't have it. But you can see it here. It's going to be this kind of small bulb here that's going to pretty much clean it and lubricate the urethra. Okay. So secretion, semen is this mixture of sperm and secretions from gland, that being nutrients, sugar, things for the sperm to be able to survive and make the destination. And ejaculation is the forceful expulsion of semen from urethra, and that's going to be controlled through smooth and skeletal muscles. So that is the male anatomy. On Wednesday, we will cover the female anatomy, and then your quiz will consist of male and female anatomy. So be ready to answer questions, mainly looking at, so as far as a structure, then it's kind of function. Labeling, not so much. Simply, I think it would be best if I just put a structure there, and then you pretty much determine the function of that. So go ahead and look through all these and look up the functions for your quiz. Have a good day.